Hi guys, and welcome to today's video. So I thought I'd talk a little bit about 3D printers and whether or not they're worth buying or not. Now again, this will be subjective, so it all depends on personal circumstances and whether or not you're going to really use one or not. So I bought mine about 2 to 3 years ago now, and I didn't think that the wife would quite want me to spend £350 on what she would call a piece of junk. So I waited until she was at work one day and then ordered it. Needless to say, she came home and was very unhappy. However, I got a 3D printer. She did calm down in the end when I started to print off stuff for the kids' birthdays and Christmases. I did a really nice print out of Hogwarts Castle for the youngest daughter and things like that. So the storm clouds have blown over now, shall we say. So primarily I use the 3D printer for wargaming. I've used it for Dungeons and Dragons to print dungeon tiles. I've used it for Warhammer 40k to print scenics, trees, barrels, all sorts of good stuff, craters even. I was really happy with the print out of the crater that I did. Because of course, you go to Games Workshop and a couple of craters can cost you sort of £15. I printed them for like £1. So it's definitely cost effective and it will save you money in the long run. However, it's quite a large outlay to start with. Now bear in mind, 3D printers have moved on a lot since they first came out. So initially they were very expensive and not many people could afford them. But as time's gone on, as with any product out on the market, they've become a lot cheaper and a lot more reasonable. So mine was about £350. There are now ones that are much cheaper, with larger print beds, all sorts of different stuff out there. So there are some real bargains to be had. So the first thing that I think you need to ask yourself when looking at getting a 3D printer is, what am I going to use it for? Because realistically, unless you've got a lot of money, and some people's circumstances are different, you're going to want to buy it for a purpose, because it doesn't really want to be sat on your shelf not being used all the time. So you need to ask yourself, what am I going to use it for, and is it going to be a cost-effective way to get the models that I want? So in terms of Warhammer 40k, as we just described a few seconds ago, printed a lot of terrain out and bits and pieces that have saved me a lot of money over the long term. So in that regards, the printer has paid for itself. I've also printed out a massive Warhammer Titan, which I am very impressed with. In fact, it was one of the first things that I have printed out, and as you know, the plans for Warhammer Titans have been out on the internet for a long time now, a long time, and typically people would make them out of either cardboard or plasticard, and they look really good. Absolutely nothing wrong with that whatsoever, but I wanted to see if my 3D printer would print it. Now of course, for something that scale on my small machine, I had to break the files down into parts and print it piecemeal and then assemble afterwards. Some 3D printers come with much bigger print beds and allow you to do everything all in one go, if you so wish to do it. Obviously mine's got housing around it, which kind of restricts that as well, but there are a lot of open topped sided 3D printers, like I say, with big print beds, and you can really ramp up the stuff that you're printing in those. And to be honest, I think I'll probably look at getting something like that in the future, because the one that I've got is absolutely great, does what I need it to do, but I do have to break down files for printing, obviously to make them fit on the print bed. So as you can see on the screen that's been playing in the background, we started to print off a barrel, obviously just scatter terrain. These are really good for using on your terrain pieces when you've based them and you want to build them up and give them character and flavour. The 3D printer's phenomenal for that. There's so many resources out on the internet now. Thingiverse is probably the site that I use the most, but a lot of people will create files and put them on the internet, usually free. There are some paid content of course, but usually free, and you can pick up these files, load them into your printer and print. Your printer will print in different sort of qualities, it'll use different materials. This one uses PLA, which a typical roll of PLA for this machine would set me back about £14–15. There are some much cheaper PLAs out there, and some machines you find take PLAs better than others. Some you can get custom reels for that will feed obviously the PLA into the machine for you. Mine isn't that good at taking different types of PLA. I pretty much have to stick to the Flash Forge sort of materials, but that's just my printer. So there are much cheaper options out there, and to be honest, I picked up some reels of PLA for about £5 English, and I've tried them out, and again, my machine wouldn't take them, but my friends' machines have. So that's something to bear in mind and consider. In terms of energy cost, it doesn't really use that much at all. They're pretty energy efficient, to be honest. It's nothing that I've ever noticed on my energy bill, like a big surge, and especially when I was printing the Warhammer Titan, that took a lot of print time, probably over the course of a week, to be honest, because obviously I'm not waking up during the middle of the night to change what's on the print bed. But yeah, I've never really noticed any sort of massive power consumption, so that's not really been a concern either. I've not found too many negatives, to be honest, with a 3D printer. Obviously, if it fits your budget and fits what you're looking for, I would highly recommend them as an addition to your gaming setups, because they give you so much flexibility and can print stuff at a really very fast pace. This barrel here took 18 minutes. Obviously I've sped the clip up because I didn't want to talk for 18 minutes, but really speedy, and I could set multiples going at the same time without any issue whatsoever. So on the screen I've put a picture up of the Warhammer Titan, just a very light base spray. It's not been fully base sprayed. I really should pull my finger out and get on with it, but this just gives you an example of the type of things that these printers can do. So I hope this has given you a bit of an overview of 3D printers, what they're used for, how much they sort of roughly cost, and giving you some food for thought for potentially getting your own 3D printer. Thanks for watching everybody, happy gaming.